ladies and Martin. Right, starting with your feet underneath your hips. Let the hands just drop to the thighs. We're going to come into our stretch and just get some movement into our body first. So nice big lift of the arms and drop the arms to the right, and then lift them and then drop them to the left. Now try and keep the hips really still. So a little squeeze at the bottom helps. And let the arms reach back. Now keep the neck long and let your head turn and look behind. You don't want to let the head drop down. You keep that length in the neck and keep the head pulled upwards towards the ceiling. Once more. And let the hands stay here by the left, and then just wrap them from side to side. Now again, the hips still to the front. The weights in the heels. Relax the knees. And then pull up that little bit taller. So you feel the crown of the head pulling upwards towards the ceiling. 2 more each way. And we're going to step the feet now a little bit wider. So the feet just a little bit wider than the hips. You're going to breathe in, lift the arms, reach up to the ceiling. Bend your knees, halfway down, and then reach back up. So both knees bend. The hips sit back. And let your eye gaze lift at the top. You get all that lovely extension all the way through the spine. Feel the weight moves back into your bottom. And then really open the knees at the bottom. Now keep your eye gaze forward this time. And reach over to your right. Over to your left. And then back into your squat. Bend the knees. Push out the heels. Lengthen. Perfect. Now as you add the side bend, try and keep the weight evenly placed through both feet. So press the feet into the floor. That's going to help to keep the hips still. And then feel the movement through the spine. 2 to go. Press. Reach. Just when you thought you couldn't stretch anymore. Just easing that a little bit further if you can. Press into your left foot. And press down to your right foot. And then easing into the centre. Bring both hands forward. Tuck in the chin and then roll the arms back. And as you roll the arms back, turn your palms up to the ceiling. So you can really see the shoulders rolling back and pulling down into the back of the ribs. And you can actually lift the front of your ribs so it creates more extension through the upper back. Sometimes we spend a lot of time in this forward flex position and the muscles get a little bit lengthened. So we're really trying to engage the muscles through the upper back as we roll the shoulders back and down. And again, let the eye gaze lift up to the ceiling. If you're ready, bend your knees more. Allow yourself to roll forward more. Chin tucks in. If you prefer, just stay here through that upper back. If it feels fine, making it bigger. 2 more forwards. And then your last one. And rest. Bring the hands down. Turn your right foot out to the side. Keep that left foot forward. And let's ease down into our side bend. The hips move on this one, but pushing over to the left and then pulling back into the centre. Now the chest and the shoulders, keep them square to the front. If your shoulders turn in, you start to bend through the lower back more. We're trying to get into the waist, so work on keeping those shoulders facing forward, the hips pushing across, and gently press down to your right heel. And as you push the hip over to the left, almost feel like you're trying to also push it upwards towards the ceiling. Feel like it brings even more stretch in that right leg. And then for a little bit more stretch, let the hand glide out to the side. Breathing in as you lower down. Out on that way up. 2 more. And your last one. And staying in the centre. So turn your right foot forward, left foot to the side, or 10 past the hour. Hips square and shoulder square is the most important part. And then easing down to the knee or the ankle. Pushing the hips over to the right. Now push the hips to the right and up to the ceiling at the same time. You're trying to get the top of the hip up. Feel like pulls more into that left leg. In a nice way, hopefully. And if you want to make it nicer, just glide the hand out to the side. Imagine you're between two panes of glass, so you have to come down directly to the side. There's no space to come forwards. It's out to the side. I can't put my foot on the wooden floor when I'm doing that position because they just slide because I've still got my socks on. And a couple more. Unless we all want to talk about the splits, don't mind doing it all together. And rest here in the centre, in your own time. Bring your feet in under your hips, bend your knees, and then bring your hands down onto the floor. Let's do the inner thigh work. So hands under the shoulders, bring your weight forward, lift your belly to your back, pull your hips back, and then gently push your chest forward. So your tailbone tucks under first, and as your tailbone tucks, it's just easing top of the pelvis away from that bottom rib. So then when you pull the hips back, you start to feel a little bit more stretch into the lower back. Breathe out as you sit back. The out breath allows the muscles to relax a little bit more. Now once more. And then stay here in the centre. Bring your right leg out to the side. I like this one for the inner thighs. So you're going to push the edge of your right foot down to the floor. So the arch of your foot's lifted, this right leg's nice and straight. Same thing, just pull your hips back towards your heel and then bring your chest forwards. You're still tucking under the bottom a little as you ease back. Now you're going to try and take your hips a little bit more over to the left. And as you feel your hips slide slightly over to the left, keep your little toe on your right foot pressed into the floor. And then you'll feel you're getting more stretch, hopefully, down that right leg. Either in the inner thigh or in the hamstrings. Again, slide the hips slightly over. It's like you're doing a little J, so a backwards J. You're coming down and then scooping slightly over to that left hand side. So it's pulling your pelvis away from your right heel. 2 more. I like this one. And then stay in the centre. Your right hand is reaching towards your shin and then back towards your fingers. Or maybe towards the toes. Or maybe to your ankle. And then maybe progressing to reach to the outside of your heel. Now let the head turn. Look back over your shoulder. As you turn the head and look back over your shoulder, it's going to push those hips over to the left a little bit more. Hopefully you're still feeling your little toe and the outer edge of your foot pressing into the ground. Once more. And then resting in the centre. Coming back onto your hips. There we go. So from here, keeping your left leg bent, hand underneath your right shoulder, and outside the left shoulder and the right shoulder. We're going to take a side bend over to the right and then back to the left. Now your hips, anchor them down to the floor. Feel the movement again in the spine. And try and get your arm to come in line with your ear. So you might not reach as far, but again it's going to help keep the spine in a better alignment. So we can sometimes go further and bring the arm across the face. We're going to bring it up and over by your ear. So you're feeling the left hand side of the ribs lifting off of your hips. Now your left hand down to the floor. Push the left hand into the floor under your shoulder and push the left knee down. Gently squeeze the bottom, push the hips forward, and again your arm towards your ear. Hips down, reach over to the right. Hand under your shoulder, Push that left knee down, squeeze the bottom, push the hips forward, and then reach into your fingertips. Now if you want to make the stretch a little deeper, reach back more and look up to the ceiling. And again, breathing into your side bend. Breathe out, reach over the side or out the back. Now whichever way you're reaching, press your toe, your right toe, down to the ground. And then stretch into your fingertips. That's how you're going to increase the distance from your toes to your fingers. And that stretch then going to come all across the hip and all maybe into your waist. One more time. And then staying again in the centre. Bringing your right leg forward. When you're ready, take a hold of your left foot and just take the foot from side to side. Again, the hips want to be anchored. So as we're moving the left foot, we're moving from the hip. And if you want to, take it into the hamstrings a little bit more. Gently squeezing up through the front of the thigh. Breathing out each lift. 4, 3, 2, and then place the foot down on the right hand side. Anchor your left hip. Okay, if you wrap your right arm around your left knee and just gently pull your left shoulder back and then square to the front. Pull back and then square to the front. And turn the head. Looking either to the left hand side or all the way around to the back. Keep the length through the spine, all the way up to the crown of the head, and 2 more around. Your last one, and stay here. Bring your left foot now down to your inner thigh, and let the knee drop to the side. If it sticks up a little bit more, it's fine. From here, you're going to reach your right hand forward and lift your left arm. Draw the right arm back and look down that back arm and then do a big clap. Bring the hands together and then pull the shoulder back. Now, if you're reaching down towards that right foot and your back's on as you're really round, you're not in the best place to get that rotation. So maybe pull the hand back and lengthen the spine. Breathe out every time. Pull the arm back. Feel the release across the front of the chest and the shoulder. Now try and turn your palm up to the ceiling. So it's kind of sending the thumb towards the back of the room. And again, that's going to help to bring it into the chest and the front of the shoulder a little bit more. And your last one. And resting here. So square the hips, you put your hand on your right sit bone and just tuck that right sit bone back a little. Hands can rest on your right thigh or towards the shin. Just allow yourself to bob backwards and forwards. Again, as you're coming forward, try not to bend the back. Try to bend the elbows to lower yourself down. We spend a lot of time day to day bending our backs, but we don't spend enough time strengthening the back of the body. So we want to think about holding our posture and hinging forward from the hips. That way you can get a lot more work and stretch into the hamstrings. But you're also working your upper back to keep your posture strong. And a couple more. And your last one. And let's come back to the beginning in your own time. Hands underneath the shoulders and bring your knees back in beneath the hips. So again, I'm just going to go to the side to show you better. From here, your cat stretch, tuck under with the bottom, then pull the hips back. Gently forward with your chest. Tuck and pull, and then push forwards. Let the head move. Let the chin nod in, and look back towards the thighs. And again, don't force anything, but do feel the movement of your spine. Feel the movement lengthening through the neck. Feeling the breath as well. Breathing out as you sit back. In to come forwards. And staying in the centre this time. So when you're ready, it's your left foot this time comes out to the side. Again, it's really easy to end up resting on the edge of your foot, the inner edge. Push the foot flat so your toes are forward. Square the hips and the shoulders. In your own time, start to sit the hips back and then forwards. So you're taking your bottom back towards that right heel. Straight line to begin with. Keeping your little toe pressed down to the floor. I don't know why you're looking like that, dog. I never mentioned the word walk. A little head lifting, ears lifted, starts your going somewhere then. And when you're ready, again almost like a J, you're taking it back and then slightly across. And as you're pushing your hip over to the right, you're still pressing your left foot firmly down to the floor. This side doesn't move as easy as the other side, but that's the good thing about these exercises. We get a chance doing both evenly on both sides. Now when you're ready, we're going to start to add in the arms. So stay in the centre, your left hand to your shin, maybe to your toes, maybe to the ankle, or maybe to the outside of your heel. Let your head start to move with the hand. You can turn the head more and physically look back over your shoulder. Breathing out as you reach across. Strong straight leg. And a couple more here. And rest. Come back onto your hips when you're ready. So it's always good to do lots of stretching around the legs and the hips because all the muscles attach to the pelvis, and when they're quite tight they restrict the movement around the pelvis. The more you stretch your hamstrings, your inner thighs, it makes the pelvis move a lot easier and it takes the pressure off the back as well. So now I want to keep the pelvis still, that being said. Reach towards your left foot and then take your right arm over and then come back to the centre. So again, now we're just stretching the muscles that attach to the pelvis from above. So I want to feel this in our waist. Just that little space here between the ribs and the hips. Again, if you let your arm come forward, you end up flexing the spine and end up loading here. So try and get the arm over by your ear. Again, you're not going to go as far, but hopefully you're going to feel the stretch here because the ribs are lifting away from the hips rather than flexing forwards. Use the out breath. Breathe in. Breathe out, easing into your stretch. In with the lift, out to relax. And when I say relax, you know what I mean. Let's add on. Hand onto the ground, right underneath the shoulder, so you can press the hand into the floor to stabilise the shoulder. And then you squeeze the bottom, push the hips forward, arm again back to the ear, and then come back down to the bottom and reach over to your toes. In your own time. Now, as we lift and push the hips forward, we're trying to open the hip on the left hand side, sorry. So you squeeze your left buttock and thrust the hip forward. And if you want to go deeper, instead of reaching the arm towards the ear, reach it towards the back of the room. And you're almost trying to turn your chest up towards the ceiling. So you're reaching back and still thrusting the hip forward. And that might give you a deeper stretch. If it's too much, just over to the side spine. Still squeezing that left buttock as you lift. And as you're lengthening, push your toes and your fingertips as far apart as you can. So big, long movement. And your last one. The furthest you can get your fingers away from your toes. Perfect. And then rest into the centre. From here, bringing your left leg forward. Hips again, nicely anchored. Take a hold of your right foot. Got my socks on today that say left and right and I'm still getting it wrong. I have to put them on the wrong feet to make them right. No wonder I'm confused. And add a leg extension if you want to. So you're just simply squeezing the front of your thigh. Taking the leg across your body. So you might also notice a stretch in the outer thigh and the hip too. 3, 2, and your last one. Let the foot come down to the outside of your left thigh. What's going on? Anchor the hips, back up nice and tall. Wrap the arm around and hug your knee in. So let's just move the shoulders so the hips should be quite grounded. And just simply rock your right shoulder back and let it go. Rock back. Start to turn the head either to the left, right, or all the way around to the back. And as you turn to the right, pull your right knee in towards your shoulder. So you're starting to get more stretch in the out thigh and the hip as well. Now if you can, grow taller, a little bit more length up your spine. 2 more to the side. And your last one. And from here, bring your foot down. So we're going to reach the left hand forward, slicing your hand down with your thumb pointing up to the ceiling. Nice and long through the back and open your right arm. Clap in the middle and then so you can pull back a little further with your shoulder. Again, allowing the head to turn. Feeling the front of your shoulder and your chest opening. And to get more stretch here, start to turn your palm up to the ceiling. And as you turn your palm up, roll the shoulder back. Keep gently pressing against your left leg. So you can use that as a lever to maybe twist just that little bit further. Couple more. And then into the hamstrings. So from here, we're going to bring both hands onto the thigh. The first thing is a long back. So lift the chest, shoulders back. Bend your elbows to lower. Breathe in as you hinge forwards. So you can feel how, if your hamstrings are really tight, it stops you being able to tip the pelvis forward. So then if the hamstrings aren't stretching, we then tend to use our backs. And again, our backs end up in this round flex position a lot of the day. So we are really trying to maintain our posture and encourage the hips to move rather than the back. So that's much easier. We don't do it easy. We know that by now. Breathe out through the mouth. In through the nose. And a couple more. And resting in the middle. Okay, from here, with both legs back out in front, I'm just going to bring your left foot back. So you can either just rest it above your knee, so the left foot is resting on your right thigh. Now, once you're here, try not to have the ankle bone itself resting on the thigh muscle. Once we're kind of just past. So hands behind the shoulders, push your hands into the floor, your fingers can point back or point forward, whichever feels comfortable. Now lengthen your spine, lift the chest up, back nice and long. Bending your right knee. Gently pushing your left knee forward, but also pressing your right buttock back down into the floor. Now you can push the hands down and lift your chest up. You will notice that your weight wants to roll over into that left hip. So again, push that right buttock down like you've got a little bit of glue tap underneath your bottom and you're pressing it into the floor. Chest is open, and when you're ready, lift the bottom, edge it forward an inch or 2, and then lower the bottom back down. Again, press that left buttock back to the floor. When you're ready, you can walk the hands in, press the hands into the floor, make your back long again. And each extra little movement helps bring a deeper stretch into those hips. So again, if you're ready and that's starting to ease, lift your bottom again, move it closer to your heel, place the bottom down, and that's where you'll feel the stretch deepen. And when it eases, you can walk the hands in and make yourself that little bit taller. Again, feel the in-breath all the length of your spine. The out-breath, almost hinging forward from the hips, pushing your chest forward. Now from here, walk the hands back, slowly, slowly, and down to the floor. Take the hands either around the back of your right thigh, or you can tuck in your chin, lift your head and shoulders, and take your hands around the front of your shin. So either the back of your right thigh, or reaching further through to your shin. Heel pulls back towards the bottom, push your left knee forward, and press your right buttock again down to the floor. Breathe in when you're ready. As you breathe out, maybe try and pull the knee a little further back. If you can, bring the head back down to the floor. Now try and press your tailbone down to the floor. So again, it lengthens the lower back. Brings that little pocket of air back into your lower back. And a little bit more stretch around your left hip. And then when you're ready, place the foot down and then take your left foot onto the floor. Feet just a little bit wider than the hips, and let your knees roll over to the right and then over to the left. So I'm trying to keep the ribs standing still and just let the movement come around your hip sockets. Your knee easing towards your heel. Chin tucked in, shoulders placed down. Couple more on each side. And then resting again in the centre. Hug your knees into your chest, and let's do a few pixie rolls. Chin tucks in, cross the feet, allow yourself to come forward, roll back, cross your feet, and allow yourself to come forward. If that's too much, just stay here. You can keep the hands resting on the knees, and you can just roll up and down through the spine. And maybe you're starting to notice, because we stretched all the muscles around the hips, maybe the pelvis is moving a little bit easier. Maybe you can make it more of a roll. Your last two. And the next time you come forward, you can stay at the top. When you're ready, feet hip distance apart. So it's your right over your left this time. So I'll do it from this way. So you're placing the right foot across your left, both hands behind your hips, and push the hands into the floor. So again, you've got that length up through your spine. Press your left buttock down and your right knee forward. So you're kind of working against your own strength. It's really easy to push that left knee forward and the hips come with it. You're trying to keep the hips down so we get more stretch into the hips. If it's easy, or you've not got a deep enough stretch, lift the bottom, take it forward a little, and then place the bottom down. Oh, so much tighter on this side. Walk the hands in, lift the front of your rib cage, pull up through the crown of your head, breathe up through the length of your spine, and then breathe out. Try and press the knee forward again, and that left buttock down. If that's enough, stay, or a little bit more. Lift the bottom, move it forwards, bottom sinks to the ground. Hands walk in, use the hands, press them into the floor to lengthen your spine. Press that left buttock down again. Keep gently encouraging the right knee forwards. Kind of nice. Keep breathing with that stretch. And you probably will find it's different on one side to the other, but that's fine, it's to be expected. We use each side of our body quite differently too. So you can walk the hands back from here and take a lie down on the ground. Take the hands behind the left thigh and hug the knee in. Or from here you can lift the head, the shoulders, reach further forward and take the front of your shin, pulling the heel back towards the bottom. Now again, you might find that's deepened your stretch enough and you're happy there. Or you might do a roll back and rest the head. Press your tailbone back to the floor. So you're trying to re-lengthen your lower back. Again, that's going to sit the pelvis in a better position to get a much deeper stretch around your left hip. Breathe in through the nose. Breathe out, press the tailbone to the floor. I'm guessing it's not just me that likes this stretch. It's kind of those pain and pleasure kind of ones. And then when you've had enough of that pleasure, you can place your feet back down to the floor. Take your feet a little wider and just roll the knees from side to side. Again, trying to keep the hips and the ribs down. Keep the head and the shoulders still. And the weight of the knees just sink down to the floor. And a couple more each way. And then let's come back up into our seated position. So hold on to the knees. Tuck in with your chin. Roll up through your spine. And while you've got all that lovely rolling movement through the spine, your pelvis is a little freer, we're going to do some rollbacks with a little brush of our hair. So bring the arms forward. You're going to roll back, hands brush over the head, and then you're going to push forward, and then come back to a hover. Again, come forwards, arms over the head to mobilise the shoulders, and then push forward, and come back to a hover. Now breathe in. Breathe out, push forwards. Breathe in and hover. Come forwards again. Let the arms just cross over the head. Roll through the spine. Now the next time when you come to your hover, hold the hover at the back. So the hands just an inch or two off the ground. Now just let the hands come out to the side. Back into the centre. Come forward. Comb your hair. Push forward. Roll back and hover. In your hover, just scan the floor with your hands. Come forwards. Now pull the belly button back towards the spine this time. So your belly button presses through to the back. You're holding it tight. Let the arms hover into the centre. And two more. Breathing in. Breathe out, push. Roll back. Open. Once more. There's no rush. Just wake up your core before you go. And then that little hover. Opening. Coming into the centre. And this time slumping forwards. From our slump, stretch the shoulders. Bring your left hand over to your right foot and hold the outer edge of your right foot. Press your foot down if you're pushing it down to a pedal and pull your foot back at the same time with your hand. Now bring the chin down to the chest and then turn your head and look back over your right shoulder. So you should be feeling a stretch around your left shoulder blade, either above or to the side or just underneath. Now if you want to deepen that stretch, you can take your right leg out straight, still pushing the foot down so it's pushing onto a pedal, and trying to pull the foot back at the same time with your hand. Turning the head, looking over your left shoulder. Breathe in through your nose. Let your breath go. Keep pulling back with your hand. And change sides when you're ready. So bend your right knee, left hand to the floor, right arm comes up and over to the outside of your foot. Push the foot down, pull the foot back at the same time. Turn the head, look to the floor, keep your chin tucked in, maybe turn your head and look back over your left shoulder. Keep pushing the foot down, try and pull the foot back with your hand. Now if you want to go deeper, straighten your left leg. Keep trying to push the foot down. Again, try and pull back with the hand a little bit more. And turn the head, look back over your shoulder. You might feel this coming from underneath your armpit, around the back of your shoulder. Anywhere that's tight around the shoulder, this stretch will pick up on. Especially if you're sort of pull the foot back with your hand. And release when you're ready. Come onto your hands and knees. I'm going to come into a down dog position. So your down dog, the hands are shoulder width apart and your knees are beneath your hips. tuck under your toes, push your hips back, and then lift your knees and straighten your legs. Little lift of your bottom up to the ceiling, so you're like a pyramid, and your bottom's the highest point. Now from here, press your right heel back to the floor and lift your left heel. Walk your feet, one heel lifts, and then the opposite heel lowers. Pressing your knee forward towards your chest. And the ears tuck in between the arms. As you're moving your feet, don't let your hips wobble. Keep your weight evenly placed through both of your hands. And this time lift both heels. See if you encourage both heels back to the floor. And lift your bottom again just that little bit higher. Now if you want to deepen the stretch in and around your chest and your shoulders, feel like you're pressing your chest down towards your thighs. Heels back towards the floor. And then in your own time, you can lift the heels and the knees and step your feet forward whenever you're ready. Heels beneath the hips, fingers towards the toes, and let the head hang. Let go of any tension to your neck, through your shoulders. And just let the head turn from side to side, just releasing the neck. Soft through your knees, belly lifts, and then a restack of your well-worked body, well-stretched body. And again, notice if you've got a little bit more movement coming through the spine. Keeping the chin tucked in so you feel the stretch in and around the mid-back. And all the way through the upper body until your head lifts. Then your shoulders can melt back and down. And we can definitely finish with a wrap today. Just wrapping from side to side. But not moving the knees or the hips. Firmly fixed. Now let the arms just swing. And feel it's you turning your upper body that makes the arms swing. You're turning, you're turning. The balance just slips out now and again. Once more, and then resting. Giving the shoulders a nice big shrug. And drop them. Breathe and lift them. And release them. And once more. Well worked, ladies. Very well worked. Whatever you do for the rest of the day should be so